I feel like since coming here, the Holy Spirit's really opened my heart and my eyes to like, who I am as an individual. If you feel like you're at the lowest spot in your life, just know God's producing the most fruit in you. And He's not given up on you, and He's not done with you yet. My name is Alli, and my life before TC is a whole lot of trying to figure out where I belong. I have an amazing mom, amazing, and she married an amazing guy. My biological dad was in and out of the picture, and when I was about 13, I remember a distinct conversation with him where he told me, look, when you turn 14, when you go into high school, we probably won't hang out as much. And I was heartbroken by this because this is my best friend. But when I turned 14, my dad just stopped. Stopped returning phone calls, stopped showing up to visits. No matter how great, my family is, and no matter how many awesome influences I had in my life, I started out desperately needing approval and affirmation. I saw his rejection as I identified with it. I am now the one who got forgotten or left behind. And it ended up being a theme through my life before TC. I grew up in church. I grew up here in Pensacola. I found out people can work for a church. I want to do that. I want to help people. I decided to go to ministry college, and I found all my worth and all my identity in what I could produce or how well I could communicate. In 2019, I got my first job and I moved to Mississippi doing communications. I was struggling with the tension of, knowing my identity was not rooted in God, but doing the Lord's work. So I came back and I started working for a local church. And about 2 years in, I'd had a couple different positions there, just trying to be what anybody needed. That's how I stay valuable, right? What I can do is how I stay valuable. I did not like my life. I did not like myself. I was in a really toxic environment, and I was in a really terrible mental place. And I think that cliche, hurt people, was just happening all around me. So I did a fast, and I felt the Lord say, the job was never supposed to make you content. I was. So I went to my boss and I was like, listen, I don't know how to say this, but I don't want to step down from my role. I need to step down from getting paid to do this. March happens. Midway through, they announced that the new people will be taking over. And of course, it was I didn't know what was happening. My overseer didn't know what was happening. My students didn't know what was happening. It was my biggest fear of rejection came to life. I ended up at TC, sat on the back row after Pastor Brad's sermon. He said, I don't do this often, but I feel God prompting me to say, if you feel like you're at the lowest place in your life, if you feel like you're at the lowest spot in your life, just know God's producing the most fruit in you. And He's not given up on you, and He's not done with you yet. I put my head in my hands, and the Holy Spirit said, this is where you're supposed to heal. When I realized the culture was different is when I wasn't someone who could do something for people. I was someone who mattered because I walked in. I had value because I chose to be here, but people remembered my name. That was so cool to me. From there's all these friendships that some I have known for a long time, some I just met and I'm connecting with that are so different than me. But we sit together and it's still the most at peace I've ever felt in friendships. And I fully believe that the prayers of these people are what set me up to the season of life I'm in now. I've watched Glenn's life change. I've watched my life change. It totally changed the way I view myself. I can say, no, I'm not putting on washed up pastor as my name tag, or I'm not putting on girl with daddy issues, or I'm not wearing the name tag of like no value unless you're doing something. I'm putting on the new name tag to believe what God says and choosing to let my foundation be strong and rooted in God and not fragile and rooted in myself.